Hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. We are now live with Star Trek Adventures Aegis, our 22nd century game following the crew of the Daedalus class vessel, the Aegis. And we are in the third part of our current episode, Immersion. So when last we left off, has been having a weird one. It started off very early for some, whether it be with Commander Romanov and some of the science staff going about and investigating an ancient set of relics. The stranger morning by far, however, has been with Lieutenant Shira, who, in her first attempt to go outside of her quarters, found herself aboard the Kamari. No, not Shran's Kamari, but the first icebreaker to circumnavigate the planet of Andor.
The original Kamari.
Yes, it was a very in-depth experience with like full sensory integration, as it were, so that you could feel the cold breeze, nay, frigid breeze, even for her. She even encountered the captain of the Kamari. Suffice to say, Shira had an unusual visit that was at once. It was a return home, but it was also back out on on a ship set on an exploratory mission, going faster and further than others had. So, an interesting juxtaposition given where she is and where she is not. She had just been informed the previous night that a particularly vindictive general in the Imperial Guard had no intention of letting her come back into the service for as long as Vulcan and Andor were in their recently emerged conflict. Elsewhere aboard the Aegis, strange sights of other sorts have been happening. There have been some slight disruptions to the lighting system, it seems, and other intermittent issues with the EPS grid that started around the time when Romanov, Saral, and Patel had started cracking open the mummified remains tied to the monolith that Romanov investigated. She made it down to engineering and had an encounter of her own with a strange child of some sort. One that seemed to disappear in a compartment that, so far as Romanov knew, never existed before. You've been picking up slowly that there are different hallucinations, kind of emerging throughout the ship, including the doctor's encounter with the Vulcan inspector Sudok, and uh, people are starting to knit together a pattern, one that is becoming a bit harmful, as one of the ship's engineers, the quartermaster specifically, Chief Fernier, is presently in the sick bay with what appear to be bear wounds and honey as wounds, basically. All of
When
this.
Pooh Bear goes bad, when Pooh Bear goes bad, and bad things happen on 100 Acre Wood.
Well, I think Drone said it best. Oh, bother. Um, So finally, everyone has begun setting about to inform the captain, whom we saw here, and who has decided that we need to stop playing with everything, getting people away from the mummified remains you've discovered, getting people like investigating the status of the Xyrillian device that you had acquired from the Ithanites and back in the first part of the story, just to make sure that nothing's going on there. You're about to start dispersing orders, Captain, when as you go to the comms, they click on their own, and let's see, slight audio warning, probably as much for the GM not necessarily having the best grasp on this, or so much that I am increasing my input. Hello, my honey. Hello, my baby. Hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire. This is just blasting decibels above what is tolerable for you, um, and it is going throughout the ship. Um, so everyone is getting like just an earful of a deep baritone voice. Um, but we're focusing particularly.
Question.
Yes.
Is there a command manual shutdown or override shutdown of audio?
Yeah, there is a button you can press, but I am going to ask you to give me the first roll of the session, partly
Uh-huh.
to contend with the surprise of it all. Give me a fitness and medicine roll here, just to like not clutch your ears and like keep basically something to keep composure here, and not like feel the need to
Yeah.
immediately cover
Oh
them.
man, 50-50 roll. Let's go.
Yep, call that a difficulty. Oh, difficulty one roll was what I was going to say. So you managed to you're not set back to where you can push the button, so you're going to keep getting this until you say so. If you refuse me, honey, you'll lose me, and you'll be left alone, oh
Nope.
baby. Yep, you cut it off there. The deep baritone ringing in your ears.
She just cringes and kind of like shakes her head, trying to get the ringing out of her ear a little bit
The door's shaking a
before.
little bit outside. There's a bass vibration from basically all the compartments around you.
I'm going to go over to my computer and just command override the power from the communications.
I'll just allow you the advantage. Without a follow-up roll there, you manage to shoot off an authorization code and yeah, kill the audio. The rest of the ship stops shaking, and the rest of you are no longer subject to whomever is at the comms.
Then I'm going to put on my grab boots and get my way. No, that'll be another advantage, huh? No, I'm just going to storm my way to the bridge. I'm also going to, because I'm athletically fit and capable, and I don't trust electronics right now for multiple reasons, given the fluctuating deck plating issue and now the audio. I'm just going to take uh, the access tunnels.
Fair enough. You use one of the after a bit of a climb through one of the access chutes, you find your way up to the bridge, which Sharp comes out of from a like a panel busts out. Oh, sir, you made it.
Crichton, give me a report.
Oh, sir, you're not going to believe this, sir.
Try me.
Look, I'm so sorry about the situation earlier. It wasn't my fault. It was the frog.
The frog.
Yes, the frog. Oh wait, I remember this. Had a top hat, and it managed to get to the comms button. It overrode all my settings. It definitely it was Crichton's kind of
Crichton.
losing it a little bit.
Yeah. Ensign. Sure then. Ensign. I understand. Anyone else see the frog?
Everyone's just looking in Crichton's direction. It's like Connolly says, "Commander, I mean Captain, I don't know what he's talking about. He's been going on about the frog since that transmission started, and the rest of us were busy clutching our ears."
I see.
It was the frog, I promise you.
Ensign, I believe you, but there are a number of things going on in the ship. Perhaps you should make a way to sickbay.
I don't need to go to sickbay. I'm perfectly fine. I just need to watch out for the frog.
Crichton.
Yes, sir.
Repeat what you said to yourself.
It's
If Dr. Lambeth gives you a clean bill of health, you can come right back.
Oh, okay, sir. Yes, sir. He'll salute before realizing, wait, do we salute around here? I don't think I've ever...
It's too small. Give a small smile. It's fine.
Right. And with that, Crichton will leave the bridge.
I'm going to get up and move my way over here and switch over to ship, bring power back to communications, and then switch over to ship-wide. This is the captain. We are under condition red. I repeat, we're on condition red. All staff to your stations. If you are noticing anything of ill repute or something that doesn't make sense, please notify your superiors immediately and make your way safely to the medbay.
You see boards lighting up across the ship. Senior officers that are in the department sections are acknowledging. I think that for one of them, if memory serves... go ahead, please.
Slight question. Wasn't the communications just completely overridden and shut down?
I would presume
Yeah,
that
but
the
I put it back.
Yeah.
That's what I put power back. Put power back to the station.
Would it be way funnier if you hadn't, though?
That would be fun.
It would be hilarious, and just for humorous effect, not to derail the scene too much, maybe the captain started one spot better before going too far, and then re-engaged her command overrides. That being said, if memory serves, Saral and Patel were nowhere near either of their stations. They were just leaving the cargo bay, if I'm correct. So let's put you guys in a corridor set for now as you hear the ship-wide broadcast and give you two the chance to figure out what's going on, or at least maybe discern the next course of action.
Well, we have some samples to analyze, don't we?
You do have some samples to analyze. So just as a quick reminder, of course you have the mummified remains of whatever Romanov was able to acquire, what she bought off the Ethanites, which has a supposed tie to an ancient stone monolith. You have some samples that you have taken with you. The rest have been left behind in the cargo bay on the deck that you are now. I think I can't remember. Captain, did you decide that the deck needed to just be evacuated altogether, or were you just sealing off that particular compartment?
I probably said kick everybody off that deck, but let's just seal compartments for now, and if it gets worse, we'll work on that.
Fair enough. Okay, so you have that, and I believe you'd also issued orders to check on the Xyrillian device that you had picked up, the unknown emitter of some sort. So that is about where you are. You can begin examination of the relics. You could also conduct scans of the other if you prefer, or the device. Do you have any particular preferences right now? Or, well, I'll let you two talk it out, actually, as you are leaving with your sample tray.
Well, I suppose we were heading towards, the science lab.
Fair enough.
Yeah, where did we establish the Xyrillian device was being... is it also in a cargo bay somewhere, or is it already in the science lab?
I think that it was previously left in basically a storage closet under guard near the shuttle bay, since you had plugged it into one of your shuttle pods.
Yeah, and that the science officers can pick at it, but would have to change quite frequently, just in the safe side.
Yep. It could be easily brought to the nearby engineering lab, however. That is in the star drive section of the ship. It has sufficiently sophisticated equipment, power taps if need be, and other elements.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't think Patel buys it for a minute that all of this weirdness is being caused by opening a sarcophagus. That's too strange, too weird. He would think it might have to do something with.
You're brand new here, aren't you?
He's still wet behind the ears despite his age. But yeah, the Xyrillian device. I mean, we activated this thing and it did nothing, if I remember right. So at least nothing apparent.
Let's set this more in scene so that you two have an opportunity to discuss a plan of action. I think it makes the most sense for you two here. So,
I mean, we got a small box of samples and leave the lab. Everything is sealed, and Saral just turns to Patel. So, your lab or mine?
Well, I get the feeling whichever one's closer is going to be the one to be more prudent for the situation, given the captain's sense of urgency.
Logical solution. and then turn and head to whichever lab is closest, and I have no idea which one it is. We leave that up to plot convenience.
It'd be the engineering lab, which, for our purposes, will make analyzing the remains harder, but the device easier. A lab confers different advantages. And okay, Deck 8 in the spherical primary hull is where labs like xenobiology, stellar cartography, and astrophysics are located, while the engineering lab and machine shops are in the aft section of the hull.
And the device is still in the shuttle bay, right?
Yep.
Okay, I mean, we have to go to the shuttle bay anyway to get the device, so at that point, let's just... I would propose to take it to a science lab. It would probably be at least better equipped for these materials, and he points down at the sealed container of mummified remains that we plundered, than an engineering lab would be. And if the shuttle bay's on the way, might as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Indeed, indeed.
Okay. Yep. Make for the nearest turbolift, and hopefully it doesn't deposit us in some alternate reality or something.
Okay. You find your way to a turbolift, which the door opens, and it's pretty quiet turbolift ride up a deck in order to make it over to the storage closet where the device was under lock and key. At your orders, Patel, the Mako that was there will stand aside and allow you to cart out the container with the Xyrillian device, the mysterious emitter that you'd previously uncovered.
How big is this thing?
A little less than a meter tall, fairly squat device. We're kind of, in this case, this is recycling the old prop of what was the cloaking device in the original series.
Okay. Patel looks down at it and sort of awkwardly, with the ruins like in one little container in one of his hands, he like tries to like wrap an arm around the device and pick it up, but it's too big.
I can pick it up.
You could. There is a cart if you want to wheel it around instead.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Now, just to clarify, since we've established there is possible narrative influence on the scene, you're in a science lab, but the question is, what type of lab are you looking for? It may confer marginally different advantages for you.
The ship is well equipped with science labs. Saral, what do you think is the best specialization to be looking at this material? Botany lab would be ruled out completely.
I mean, we have the device, which is probably better suited to an engineering lab. And the samples, what's the xenobiology lab? Or whatever.
And there literally is that type of lab, I believe.
So it looks like we have to prioritize. In my mind, investigating the remains, the mummified remains, makes less sense and has less direct bearing upon the ship.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that much is clear. There's no evidence to suggest that anything otherworldly is happening. I guess I would propose then to make our way towards like I don't know, is there like a physics lab or like something that is sort of engineering adjacent?
There is an astrophysics lab in the forward section, which I would rule that would help with that. I would also rule that the engineering lab would work. It would ease the difficulty on tasks to analyze this as well.
Then let's go to the engineering lab.
Yep. Okay.
And I'm gonna leave behind the remains in like the xenobiology lab.
Fair enough.
Ominously.
Somebody will run it up to the appropriate lab. The two of you make it in, and you remove it from the packaging it was in to reveal the roughly meter tall device with the sort of conical base and the somewhat opaque like white frosty sphere that is at the top of it. As you look at it, you actually notice there is a faint glow about it.
Residual
was that there before?
Well, for reference for you, Saral, since I know Felix, you weren't here on that first session, the crew did plug it into a shuttle pod in order to feed it some power, but they could discern nothing about its function from that, or there wasn't any noticeable change except for the fact that it was drawing power. And after it was unplugged, apparently there was a power cell element to it that managed to retain power. I believe that would effectively sum up kind of what you might have learned last time, though. Drone, you were here as well then, so if there's any other details you want to share with Zeral in character, then by all means.
I think that pretty much covers it. My notes were unfortunately somewhat lacking on the device itself.
It was emitting. It was emitting something. It's supposed to be an emitter, but it's supposed to be emitting something, but we don't know what it's emitting and can't detect it, and we don't know if it actually is emitting anything. Just that it's on. It's on, and it's on, and it has a battery pack or some sort of bus that just keeps on. It has a charge still.
Yeah, we plugged it in. It did apparently nothing, and then we just sort of tucked it away.
Yeah, we unplugged it. We made sure we unplugged it, and then and then now it's just been lingering.
Do we know if it actually emits anything?
I mean, we know that it's an emitter. We just don't know what an emitter of, or if it's on. Just that it has power.
Yeah, I think the Ethanites told us it was an emitter, right? That's how we know it.
Yep.
Yeah, and like there was no immediate scan or anything that that let us know exactly what this thing is emitting. And
it's completely alien,
mind-boggling tech. Have you ever seen anything similar to this, Zeral?
Have I?
I can't think of anything that you have told me previously that looks like this, and I will say
I
that
wouldn't think so.
Yeah, for your purposes, the Xyrilians are one of those groups of people that it's like your ships are passing in the night, as they are often they are known to use a holographic invisibility shell, i.e. cloak, and thus mostly are able to keep out of the limelight. They're pretty isolationist. They don't like dispersing technology to what they consider more primitive civilizations, quote unquote.
That's great that we have a piece of that on board. Are they known to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Psychic? Psionic?
Not much is known about them. About the only thing in the Earth database with regard to them is an encounter with the NX-01 a few years back, which dealt with basically a repair job that the chief engineer needed to conduct. Rather atypically, particularly for the cisgendered male that the engineer was, he came back from the ship impregnated. Yeah. We're not entirely sure how some of Xyrilian technology operates, but apparently he managed to get involved with one of them, and
humans.
The notes on that are somewhat vague with respect to some elements. Part of it is that they don't understand exactly what happened, but the Starfleet protocols, such as you have were able to pick up anything from the notes on that, and this probably goes for most anybody here. It's exercise more caution.
It's very fair. No, I don't know anything particular about the Xyrilians.
Yep. Or would you like to investigate on any particular line here?
The first thing I'd be wondering, so like we unplugged it from the power, but the first thing that I would be looking for is like a power signature or anything confirming that this light like being emitted from inside of it, like, you know, what's powering it if possible, or is it like something left over in the capacitor or something, or does it have a power source inside?
Certainly.
And then B, what is the nature of the power source?
Certainly. Well, I would be prepared to give that to you for a... This would have been a difficulty 3 roll, but since we are in the engineering lab, this can be a difficulty... or rather, it was going to be difficulty 4, but I would be prepared to reduce that to 3 since you're in the lab. And I would be willing to allow one of you to take the lead roll, and then either one of you can assist, or you can use the ship's sensors and science instead. Or rather, computers and science.
What do your focuses tell me?
I have my focuses do not help the situation at all. Meteorology, biology, botany, geology, planetary science.
Well, I can offer investigation, diagnostics, computers, and maybe sensor operations, but we have usually done that more on a ship basis and less on a device basis.
I think figuring out like a power source for a device to me would be a diagnostics thing. Maybe I don't know if the GM would see it that way, but that would be my thought.
I'm amenable to that.
The momentum we have is gone now, right? That's from last week. Or
I would shave down a point of momentum since time has elapsed, but there's still. I'd still say that you have some left over.
Well, I'm doing what Thrall does best, and I'm giving you a threat for bold science.
Very good.
And difficulty 3. Oh, let's give this a shot, shall we? Then
So-
I would re-roll both of those zeros.
As would be your prerogative with bold science.
Oh, that's slightly better.
A little bit.
And Patel can also assist, and maybe we can get some delicious overflow momentum.
ooh, yummy.
Indeed. That is one success. So that, with the total of 5 successes there, 4 from Saral and 1 from Mr. Patel, you do generate 2 back, which, yeah, that actually does refill the momentum here. Saral, you can discern there does seem to be not so much what is a power source as perhaps a power cell. The crew may have actually charged when they plugged it in, and that seems to be integrated into the device's other functions, the exact nature of which is deeply uncertain in this situation. But it does seem as though there is a power signature that is left over from an earlier charge, and that does seem to be circulating through the device. So, anything else you would like to ask? I will leave that open to questions through the obtain information momentum spend, and you have plenty of that right now. So, both
Could we throw in like a broadband scan and see if it is emitting any kind of signal that we can determine? Like running it through all the wavelengths and radiations and the whole database, basically, not just like a standard scan, which I assume scans like the most common frequencies, wavelengths, etc., but like going through the full thing.
I will not force you to spend momentum to ask that question, but I will say that you could execute that type of broadband scan, and I will give you options here. In particular, the Twitch chat did have an interesting suggestion on that, the idea of running an extended task in order to conduct that yourselves. Alternatively, I would be prepared to allow you to spend 2 points of momentum to basically create that advantage where the scan gets underway, since you've already succeeded at some tasks pertinent to this device. And after a certain increment of time, you would start getting a sense of whether there are any emissions from this.
I quite like the idea of an extended task, actually.
Okay.
What do you say, Patel?
Patel's character has never done one before, so this is exciting.
Oh boy, oh boy. Well then, we can definitely get something like that started. I'll maybe give it a scene just so that I can properly work out the issues. But until then, are there any questions you want to ask as pertains to the scan you've already conducted, or maybe other things you can discern from something more limited?
If we tap my studios for a momentum, I have one question that I would like to ask. If Sorrel has another one, I don't have any other ideas for the second one. So okay, let me spend the thingy. So we've been able to detect that there's like power coursing through this thing. Can we like use the power flow within the device itself to figure out what components within the device it is powering? Like picturing in my mind like a series of tubes that are filled with like a liquid or something, and you can sort of see where things are flowing around.
I would be prepared to answer that question. Uh, from what you can discern, and there's a lot that is uncertain about the inner workings of the device. The Xyrillians have some very novel technology. A good bit of the processing systems inside of this appear somewhat crystalline in fashion. Um, Essentially, they have interesting, like very intricate sort of shapes that are. It's almost as if they are grown, but to such specific, exacting sort of shapes and whatnot. I kind of think the interior would be a bit like the Fortress of Solitude in there, I suppose, for lack of a better phrase. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, it looks as though the such as you can discern separate elements of function within this device, it looks as though the power cell is relaying power to what you would think is most of it seems to be some sort of central processing system of some sort, or some sort of where you would expect there would be some sort of central computational type device. Then the other part of it would be uh, the other part of it does seem to actually be going into parts of the somewhat opaque orb at the top, which, as near as you could guess, was the emitter in the first place.
If this is just a light bulb, I'm gonna really be upset.
It's a disco ball.
Yeah, it's just like a party device. um. So it is, but the power is definitely not just being stored, but something is being done with it. Uh-huh.
Does recognizing? Okay, I'm not going to ask the question. I'm going to throw it out there, and we can decide if we want to ask it. Does does recognizing, like, okay, where the power is flowing in this device now allow us some insight that would make shutting it down completely easier, or easy in general?
I mean, if it's a lot of it's crystal bound, we could probably easily destroy parts of it, even precisely, but that would be destructive. So might be rendering any further investigation.
Patel looks up from his computer screen at Saron and is sort of like not shocked, but he's like, "Oh no, we don't want to destroy this thing. It's fascinating, whatever it is."
Of course it is, but the captain seemed rather urgent that whatever's happening is not happening anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that would be my question. Can we shut it down? Or does having this knowledge that we have make shutting it down somehow easier if it came to a task?
So what this tells you actually is that shutting it down will be more difficult, at least as far as there isn't any sort of manual like override that you can discern that wouldn't require you not only hooking this into the ship, but probably supplying it more power in order to allow it access. Essentially, it seems as though the the computer connections necessary in order to actually access this device and discern if it is processing anything, what it would be, and whether commands can be issued or anything of the sort. That would be a whole nother situation. It does, if I may add the one caveat, you are noticing, Patel, that the emissions in the power cell, or like the total power storage you're estimating, has come down a fair bit from when you initially plugged it in. So it seems as though if you just basically leave it alone, then it would over time gradually expend its remaining power and go back to an inert state. Now, if this is the device that is responsible for the goings on, and then that means risk of more shenanigans or worse, but it would mean that the problem eventually goes away. However, it would do so with no insight as far as what happened.
But does knowing that at least give me like a rough idea based on the time that's elapsed from the time we plugged it in until now? Like, can I predict roughly when the battery will run dry?
I will take that for one more momentum.
Yep.
I would say within the next day or so, the device would expend its power. Possibly faster if, presuming it is what is responsible, if it remains at a steady rate, it'd be about a day. If something were to draw more power for some reason, then maybe it would go faster. You do notice that obviously it went from not expending anything to expending some power for whatever reason. But I suppose you don't have a firm grasp on exactly the rate at which the power curve built up, basically, or you don't have a semblance of exactly what that looks like. So
I just got the idea in my mind that this thing is like an Alexa that just listens whenever you say the word like Volkswagen or something, and then you suddenly get ads for a Volkswagen.
sure.
Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh.
No, but it doesn't listen. It listens to your mind.
Think very hard about the statement from Marshmallow Man.
Soral has an idea.
Why would you do that?
If there's a lot, if it's basically its internal workings are crystalline, and crystals usually work, or like it's what we use them for. It's because they I don't know if vibrate is the correct word, but they work at very specific frequencies.
So they resonate.
Can we resonate is a good word.
Yeah, they resonate.
Can we disrupt any resonating that they're doing, or make them resonate at like enough that whatever they're doing is just like interrupted, like putting some electric connections in isolation, or like just making it not work without destroying it?
If you tried, it would be exceptionally difficult because the intricacy of the device makes it seem like it could potentially be very fragile. Or anything that it would be in such a narrow range, I think, to disrupt the function without damaging the device. That is a tough sell.
How about we start with the extended task?
Okay.
Because my idea is if we figure out if it is emitting anything, we can do something to isolate it or whatever, and basically have it run its course without bothering us.
Like put it in a Faraday cage or something.
Yeah, something like that. But for that, we need to know how the Faraday cage needs to look like.
Yep.
Okay. So I think that this is definitely something we can run. I am going to call this an extended task requiring, I think, definitely engineering for a discipline. Reason makes sense, but I also think insight fits as well. And I am going to call this a magnitude of, let's see, a magnitude of 3. So if memory serves, that should be difficulty of 3 as well. A work track of 15. And as an unusual bit of technology, this would probably be, I think that the resistance on this is going to be a bit higher, so I'm going to place this up at a 4 right now. You may do some things to help reduce that beforehand, but it would be I would tell you what, I would reduce the resistance very slightly and give you the ability to have the bonus assist from the ship as well, but it would require basically plugging in the device, giving it access to a power tap as well as being able to engage with the ship's computers. Otherwise, you are working with basically the small hand equipment and the higher resistance.
So it's both power and computer access, not like we can't just plug in a generator to it or something. Like
We
it needs both.
tried. We tried to plug in a generator. It just ate the generator.
Oh yeah, right.
We had to strip down a shuttle and use the engine from that to power it.
Very good, Panda. The captain is correct.
Yeah.
Do you guys want a moment to think about that? Maybe we go to a different scene while that happens?
I look over at Saral, and it's very clear from the look on my face that I am very tempted to do this, and it's fascinating, and I'm all about it. But I just sort of say, the captain probably wouldn't like us doing this, would she?
Okay, this is Felix speaking. Here's the thing. Soral is very gung-ho. He would be, if you're saying, I mean, this is what we need to do to find out more about this, he would be, yeah, let's go for it. Felix is thinking we should like delegate this decision to the captain, but Soral is very much not.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
Not out of disrespect, I want to say, but like, we need to figure out how this works to shut it down, so that's what needs to happen. And if you're inclined to do that, I mean, she wanted a quick solution.
Then I guess we're in reluctant agreement then.
Seems so.
I've never broken the rules before.
I'm shaking my head.
Oh, I'm very well aware. Very well aware. However, like a slightly bit of reckless doesn't mean completely reckless. I think we would still. We do not have force fields yet, do we?
You do not. This is in an era that predates the regular ship-mounted force field.
I guess we would.
Didn't they invent one in like season 1 of Enterprise or something?
Yeah,
they invented portable ones, but they were low powered. They weren't like super powerful.
Yeah, you will have to have emitters rigged up in such a way, presuming you have that tech. Which, bear in mind, this was something that Lieutenant Malcolm Reed worked on, and he just had a penchant for like messing with all sorts of like different security type objects. It was the one kind of understated, or I think something that got lost as Enterprise went on. He liked to work on different things that could either blow things up or prevent you from getting blown up.
How true to reality is this room that we're standing in here in Roll20? Like, is that observation chamber thing back there a thing in this room?
I would say yes.
It seems like it'd be better than nothing if we could stick it in there.
Yeah, I guess you would take like appropriate measures to limit whatever consequences we can foresee. But then still go ahead with it. Does that feel like a good compromise between reason and madness?
I think we're taking the necessary safety measures. Yeah.
I like it.
Excellent.
All right, so the two of you begin lugging that in and getting the device set up for its first run. I guess I will allow you, if you'd like, to make a first roll. After that, we will go around to another scene, partly to reflect that other things are happening and that the analysis is taking time.
Yeah.
So is reason engineering or insight engineering, you said?
Yes, I am prepared to be flexible on the attributes, but the discipline stands.
My engineering is 4, same as science.
Yeah, okay, then I should probably assist you. Mine's only 2.
Yep. The ship can also assist this with engineering and computers.
So how many successes do we need on the first roll to make like a breakthrough?
You would need to exceed. I believe you would need to. Well, actually, wait. Successes don't really come into it so much as the amount of work, basically, which should be. It's always like 5 work on the work track in order to break through.
And how many successes do we need to make 5 work? It has been a while since we've done an extended task.
So you need to do basically the way an extended task works is that first you have the basic task roll, which in this case you have a difficulty of 3. Then you roll challenge dice. It's, think of it as like a situation where in combat the ship has to, or like the individual ship has to do something to inflict damage. In this case, you are attempting to acquire progress on something. Instead of dealing with a track of stress, you are dealing with the necessary work in order to accomplish accomplish and understand this. So much like an injury for somebody, it takes 5 points of that in order of the work to create the breakthrough, basically. It's analogous to like 5 points of stress inflicts an injury on a person.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm mixing the situations. It's just the mechanical similarity.
And how do I influence how many challenge dice I roll?
So the challenge dice are always 2 plus the relevant discipline that is being rolled here.
It's always 2, okay.
2 challenge dice plus the plus whatever your discipline is. So with 4 engineering, you would roll a total of 6 challenge dice after you. That is, if you succeed at the task. But after you were to succeed at a task, that would be when it happens. There's actually a whole number of ways too that you can spend momentum in order to help you out on the work track. You can spend a point of momentum to increase the work that you've produced. You can spend it to pierce through resistance, and you can use it to re-roll work in case you get like a lot of zeros. A whole useful chart is right here.
Excellent. Okay, let's start with the task first.
Yes, let's.
That's reason engineering difficulty.
Difficulty is 3.
Still 3.
And you're assisted by me and the ship, right? Or just me or the ship? I forget.
You refresh my memory. Did you decide to plug it in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Then that will give you that will reduce your resistance to 3, and it is both the ship and Patel. Sorry.
Okay. Anything else I can leverage? I don't think so. Does any of my focuses apply? Like diagnostics, investigation, computers?
I would say some mix between diagnostics and definitely computers would fit the situation.
Cool. Yeah, then I will stop procrastinating on the roll and just click the button.
Okay, that is 4 successes. So Felix, you may go ahead and roll. Set your challenge die to 4, or rather, set your challenge dice to 6, and then give it a roll, please.
Should we spend some left? We have the difficulty was 3. We have 1 momentum over.
We have a total of 5 momentum.
We should definitely spend 1 momentum on piercing, I think.
What was the base resistance? Or I guess the current resistance for it?
The current resistance on this is 3.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I mean, we have 5. We could just use 2 to ignore all the resistance, right? But
But with the that is 1, 2, let's see, yeah, that is 6 points on challenge dice, and I'm looking here. So base of 6, but I think that I will be. I'm looking over the situation here because in most cases there aren't like the effects don't do much, but there are circumstances where you can gain the effects here. I think that I will allow with Felix and Patel investigating this so closely, I will allow the scrutinize 1 effect to be added to this, which will allow you to ignore resistance for each of the effects rolled. So that will get you
wow.
the rest of the way over and allow you a full 6 points on the momentum, or rather on the resistance being ignored, and thus putting 6 points on the work track. So just for
does did anything like happen when we plugged it into the computer or the power, like that we that is immediately apparent? Like, did the thing suddenly start like glowing brightly or something?
So we'll set this up. As you placed it into the imaging chamber, you waited basically to feed power through the taps that you had until you were all set and had the chamber as secure as possible, insulated in as best a manner as you could. And then you began feeding power and analyzing bits of information as it started to make its way through. So the first part of the sequence, the power feeds into the device. The tap's activated there. The sensors that were reading kind of internal function do indeed show power levels are starting to build up. What you imagine to be the processing center is also kicking on, and through the small porthole, if one of you were taking a look, the opaque white orb is picking up more of a glow. And you start running your analyses to try and discern function of this emitter as it goes, and as you do, the data feeds that you've plugged in, what you were hoping to have allow you to access things, start showing very interesting bits of data. In your first breakthrough, you start getting fed back a dazzling array of characters and information, which without a breakthrough I'd say would have been just like a blinding array of data, but you are able, between the two of you, to sort out some patterns, and you start realizing that they are a series of complex but fairly common mathematical equations. That is to say, they are common for everyday analysis in all manner of different fields. They conform to various formulations that account for the nature of like basically different molecular compositions. They account for like physical formulas. That is to say, something that accounts for movement or electric current, for all manner of those sorts of things. There are some complex ones which might even suggest the like algorithms that would that you might have seen in like basically sort of cognitive studies of different sorts. There is just a dazzling array of data that is being processed all simultaneously in the heart of this thing, and that the computer system is just starting to collect. And I think with that first breakthrough, which will put us, just to be clear, 6 work out of 15, and one of 3 breakthroughs on the work track, we are going to move elsewhere throughout the ship. Let's see. We haven't visited in on sickbay just yet, and we haven't checked in with Romanov. Doctor, I know that you are in the sickbay right now, so that's one establishing thing. Brian, where did you have Alaska when we were last coming off here?
I was in engineering, and I had notified people about my experience.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's run back to sickbay for a moment, because I believe both, I think both Shira and Romanov, or no, not Romanov, but Shira and
Oh,
Lambeth.
I was in sick bay.
Okay,
Yes.
that's
Sorry,
right. Everyone, you are quite all right. Everybody had reported in previously.
Yeah,
And
everyone who had suffered hallucination was in sick bay.
yep. So let's change up the tokens just very slightly. At this point, there are maybe about a half a dozen officers that have at different points shown up reporting strange symptoms. I'm just going to throw in a couple more NPCs here. So yeah. Furnier, of course, has attracted the most attention for having significant surgical work, or at least requiring the strict attention of a dermal regenerator. This is something you could be tending to directly, Doctor, although you have him stabilized now, so that's not strictly speaking necessary. You also had the sample of the sample residue from the wounds left over. And of course, you had two other senior staff members here who had also reported hallucinations. I would say that past the quartermaster, who seems to have sustained terrible injuries from his attack, the most distressed patient right now is Mr. Crichton, who's over in the corner saying, "It's the frog! The frog is responsible for all of this."
The frog? Which frog?
The one with the top hat.
Oh, good. I assure you there's no frog. There's probably no frog.
I don't
Look,
believe
I'm
you.
assuming you're as fine as everyone else here.
Does that mean I can go back to the bridge?
If you admit that there's no frog in it, that it's a figment of your imagination.
No
Or
deal!
a hallucination. Okay, right, then you're staying here for now. If it helps, I saw a Vulcan investigator, and he asked me some questions, and then he walked right down that corridor there and vanished. I know he wasn't real. Your frog wasn't real either, I'm sorry. At least I don't think your frog was real. Your frog could have been real with no idea what's going on with this hallucination stuff. I don't think anything's actually manifesting on board the ship, but who knows?
Okay. I'm sorry, Doctor. I need a moment. I will be fine.
Yeah, I know, I get it.
So, with Crichton momentarily calmed down, what would you like to... would you like to engage with the other officers, or would you like to do anything else instead with the sick bay? You have a room full of options.
Well, let's start by trying to get everyone's experiences of the hallucinations and, like, see if there's any common points.
Okay.
Like,
So, let's see.
Like, was there a particular time that it all happened at? Was it, like, evenly spaced out, or,
Let's see.
random?
I'll
Was there, like, a trigger phrase anyone said before it happened?
I'll ask you just for a point of momentum on this, just to obtain the bit of information there.
Yeah. If everyone's alright with me spending the momentum,
Yeah.
I would like to do that.
So this will at least give you some flavor from the NPCs. You can recheck with Romanov and Shira in a moment here. For their part, the variable encounters that seem to have occurred throughout the ship at this point suggest that people were minding their own business, performing their duties as usual when something unusual seemed to have interluded. There was in one case, a large man in blue spandex that seemed to be going about the ship obsessed with the idea of spoons, and that had managed to punch through a bit of wall paneling, finding a damaged plasma junction. To clarify, they had not damaged the plasma junction themselves when they punched through, but this large, I suppose, roughly superhero-like entity had managed to damage the deck plate. There was at least one section where a full brass band paraded through the corridor while someone was on the way to their duty station and promptly took their cup of coffee back to the station. Is there anything? I'll tell you what, Drone. Anything that would have caught Chief Justice's fancy? I put him in here just for the sake of stock NPC. But if you have anything you think he'd be particularly into, then flavor it up as you like.
There's nothing stock about Chief Justice.
Fair enough.
I think I don't want to be that RPG player, but it is Chief Justice. I think his content would be not work safe.
Fair enough. Let's
leave it at that.
Yep.
Chief Justice just grins at the memory.
No, it's the best. It's like, Chief, did you experience anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He just smiles. He's like, yeah.
Did you encounter any problems? No problems.
Oh, dear.
Can we leave the machine on for just a while?
Did you encounter any problems? I mean, eventually.
I'm going. Well, that's not my call, I guess. So, and the thing earlier about the hallucination damaging the deck plate, is that evidence that we've got of these things actually having a physical effect on the ship?
Between Fernier's wounds and the
the
verified damaged bit of deck plate, these things can affect you physically. Shira, for that matter, would also know that because she was very cold this morning.
It was very
actually
cold on that ship. But again, you'd expect that it was sailing the northern seas.
Okay, Crichton, I'm going to get back to you on that the frog isn't real thing. What variety of frog was it? Do you remember the colours?
It was green.
Was it poisonous? If it was, don't touch it.
No, I don't know.
Or venomous? No, poisonous.
I didn't touch it. It was just there. Look at it. It's like that.
I've heard some amphibians can produce
like that.
Hallucinatory
Are we all
effects.
seeing a frog?
There's just a small frog there in a top hat. It was that exact frog.
Alaska wants to walk over to. I know in this era, really, medical is like the nerve center for environmental control and a lot of those kind of things. Is that true on this same model of ship?
I would say yes, that it is. There might be some other hubs throughout the ship, given its unusual layout, but for the primary hull, definitely.
Okay. I'm going to take a look. I'm just going to look over at Dr. Lambert. I would like to look at the environmental systems, since it's your territory, and I, of course, always ask before I do anything.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Take a look, please.
Just to be clear, everyone can see the frog.
Can I see the frog?
There is a frog by Crichton. At this point, he goes up and he gets out of the bed and he picks it up by the front arms and starts
Crichton,
trying to pump it down.
Stay back.
It was dancing around like this. It was doing this. Why don't you believe me? You all heard it sing.
I can see the frog, Crichton. Put it down.
Put the frog down, Crichton.
Put the frog down, Crichton.
You
It'll
don't
be okay.
you don't believe me? This frog can sing.
He's just not singing right now, Crichton.
I'm sure the frog sings. He's got a nice top hat, like you said.
He's a performer, clearly. Look, he's a little tired from his last performance. He's just clearing his throat. He's getting ready for his next ensemble.
He's got a smaller frog in his throat.
What do you know? Speak to us.
Perhaps you should run some scans since we're
right.
seeing this now.
Well, let's. Oh yeah, start running some scans. First scan is going to be that actual thing. If that is a frog, if it's even there, what species of frog it is, and then on us, the rest of us, for medical stuff.
Just to check, Romanov, are you going to wait for that scan, or are you going back to also check life support while this is the life support ritual here?
I'm gonna head over to life support control, which I think I've seen it. It's usually like right over in this area. So I'm gonna go ahead because I know he can do all the medical stuff. I want to take a look. I want to look for any changes in certain kinds of like bandwidths of energy that might affect humanoid brains, like theta bands, any dineural type, bandwidth transmission stuff that's probably very low frequency, low energy, but theoretically could affect people's heads.
Okay. So, first off, Lambeth, I would like for you to go ahead and conduct your scan. This will be reason and medicine, and I'm going to set the difficulty at this. I think I'm going to set this to 4.
What was it? Reason and medicine?
Correct.
All right. No focus. What was the difficulty again? Sorry.
Difficulty is now 4.
All right. So I don't really have a way of. I don't think I have a focus that applies.
You do not.
Can Nurse Marple assist?
She could.
And do we want to burn 3 momentum to get me up to 4 dice? Because that will take us out of all of it, I think. With this momentum, I could try using up a value, but maybe save that for if I need it.
Well, this is a pretty critical situation. Maybe a combination of a value and some momentum. That's my feedback.
Yeah, so value can get me, is it 2 successes if I do it beforehand?
You could spend your determination before the roll in order to give yourself the an automatic critical success, so that would give you 2. However, you could also reserve it until afterwards.
As a thought, yeah, I can reserve it until afterwards to re-roll.
Yes, if you decided to just go buy the momentum and decided to try your luck at re-rolling if the first roll didn't go well.
I think I probably want to spend the determination for 2 successes beforehand.
Okay.
And then maybe spend 1 momentum to get an extra dice.
All right, then what value
Everyone
would
good
you
with
like?
that? I'm thinking every lie contains an element of truth could kind of work.
I really like the application of that. That's a good idea, Ben, and you
It's
would
like a hallucination thing. Okay, great.
Definitely.
So that's determination spent.
Yep. So automatically
And
there
then-
are 2 critical successes on the board. And with with 3 dice from those momentum, that is 6 successes in total, plus 1 from Nurse Marple. 7 successes.
Okay.
Jeez. Yeah, you blew that out of the water. You managed to refill the momentum pool, and I can't remember. Were you at 4 beforehand?
I think we should have been down to 3.
Well then,
3 because of the momentum spended it earlier for the
yeah,
question.
drone, just draw up 2. Yeah, you refilled the pool on that one.
Yeah. Wow.
So, Doctor, um, the very first thing that your initial sensor scans would suggest is that, by all accounts, this appears to be a living, breathing biological frog. However, you notice that there are signs of interference with your medical scanner as you try to get a readout. There's some sort of energy field in the room that is presently that seems localized to the area that you are scanning, specifically around the frog, and you realize that there's some sort. Yeah, it is indeed localized, as if and the entity before you is at once essentially creating a decent simulacra of a frog in a top hat, but also like the reason that the hallucination exists here does not seem to be anything that would conform to, or like, there is an object that appears to be physically manifesting, but one that seems to be mostly something energy based.
So is it more like an energy ball in the shape of a frog rather than an actual frog? So it doesn't have like internal organs or anything?
I mean, the sensor
Oh,
readouts would seem to suggest that the inside of this has has layout that roughly suggests the organic layout to suggest that there is a frog, but it seems as though even those organs, such that you could parse it out, there's something. It's not quite biochemical, as it turns out.
okay, so no danger of getting poisoned by it.
No, not likely.
Okay, Crichton. Immediate worry, you're not gonna die. It's not poisonous because it's not actually a frog. In case the top hat didn't make that clear.
But it's an amphibian. It felt slimy when I touched it. It croaks. It sings.
It's a simulacrum of an amphibian. It's just like a photonic hologram projection kind of thing.
What?
There's massive energy interference here. That thing's not real, except it kind of is as well.
What?
But don't worry about that part.
Some light-based construct. What do you mean? What do you mean? Creighton, as Creighton begins to question reality, Romanov, you're starting to look through when you feel a tug at your uniform.
Yeah, my buddy's back, and probably yeah. So I
Hi.
will look. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Today I get to visit the it, I get to visit all my ancestors today.
Nice.
No, stop it. Who are you? What are you doing in my lab?
I look over. This is the individual I met in engineering. Meanwhile,
He's scary.
I am-
I'm leaving, and she runs out the sickbay doors,
okay.
like
Why is there...
through the sickbay.
Was that your hallucination?
Yes, it
Casca?
was, and I'm doing something right now. So the first place I want to look at environmental controls for any subtle energy changes is I would have been doing that in sick bay at the same time the doc was working. Can I roll for that?
I was about to allow you to do so, but the little girl was interrupting you right as you were starting. And I
Okay.
presume Shira is blocking her way out now.
I just well, she's more curious. Hi, little human girl.
You're strange.
I am strange, yes.
I want to go see my ancestors.
Well, these are my friends.
I want to go see my ancestors.
Who are your ancestors?
They're all the ones that came before.
Yes.
She turns over to Romanov. Will you take me?
Can you
Look,
give me
nobody's seeing anyone's ancestors today, alright? We're all going to stay here in the land of the living.
Doc.
But I go see them all the time. Why can't I do it today?
Well, could you wait for a moment and then we'll talk about it? Maybe I can go with you, but I have to do something really important right now.
The grayed out hooded figure that is this little girl, which all of you can see now, just sits down and just pouts.
Okay.
You've got a pouting 5-year-old. You probably
I
should
see
speed
that.
up.
I will go as quickly as I can. Okay, he's run his scans. Looking at that data, I now want to see if other frequency activity like that is occurring around the ship.
This would actually, since you're bringing it up more in terms of like the basis of energy changes, this would be more a question regarding the internal sensors. So I think that you could still access this. I'm going to say it is a reason and security roll with the... No, not reason and security. Reason and science with a difficulty of 3.
Okay, I'd like, if everybody's okay with it, I will blow I'm going to blow a value on this. Every problem has a solution. The problem is I am trying to identify the frequencies that these manifestations are on around the ship using environmental control. And I'd like to spend, let's see, so that's a value. What do you think, guys? I'm not the greatest with science. My science is 2, but my reason is 10.
Well, I need to ask before that, what value would you possibly be tapping?
Every problem has a solution, right?
Very well, that would work.
Okay, so that's the one I'm tapping. And then I'd like to spend 2 momentum.
Are you attempting to create an advantage, or were you looking to buy additional dice?
Well, I guess I could create an advantage here, and the advantage is I'm using the environmental sensors to pick up what is going on with these manifestations. Using environmental sensors to identify their location, because environmental sensors go all over the ship.
Well, this is, I suppose technically this is more, it's more internal sensor usage, but I would say that with environmental components you can pick up any subtle changes in atmosphere, anything that might help you localize other sections where something might be affected. So
okay,
I'll allow the ship to assist on that.
Okay, great. And yeah, I am primarily using internal sensors. It's just I'm now narrowing that based on the doc's discovery. And I'll spend 1 momentum. I spent 2 momentum on that.
That's for the advantage. Then.
Okay. And
are you purchasing dice as well?
It's up to the team if they want to give me 1 more die on this. Do we want to be able to nail down this stuff based on what the doc found? Now I can use it to kind of identify how the energy is being distributed across the ship.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so I'm spending 1 more. That's 3 dice.
The ship also assists. I have dropped a point of threat, so that will increase your complication range to 2.
Okay.
And I will go ahead and roll for the ship for you guys.
Okay. And then I will roll.
Gets 1.
Okay.
Good ship.
Okay, now that's 2 more successes
So
from my determination.
Yep, that will put you just 1 over. Drone, you may draw an additional momentum. And yeah, with that, you see that despite the internal sensors being somewhat on the fritz, there do appear to be signs of similar coherent energy fields forming and in some cases dissipating throughout the ship.
Okay, I'm going to bring this up on the screen. Doc, you're a genius. I was able to use your readings to see this, and I'll bring it up on one of the internal screens here so that Shira, and others can see it. This is the appearing and disappearing manifestations of these bandwidths of energy throughout the ship.
So this is possibly where hallucinations are, or
Are forming. Look at this one right here on deck 5. It just dissipated, so that would be one that's disappearing. But look over here, there's another one forming near the mess hall.
I wonder if we can overlay positions of the crew members onto this.
Can I do that?
Since you have the internal sensors up, I'll tell you what, I will allow you to spend that point of momentum back just to obtain that bit of information.
Okay.
It seems as though all of the sites are happening in close proximity to a handful of members of the crew. You would put the numbers at maybe a dozen.
It appears these manifestations are localized around a dozen people.
Can we go now?
I want to tell my friends. So she's going to see her ancestors. The monolith that I encountered a long time ago that put me in a near comatose state. It was being transported on this girl's vessel, and they started to have some problems. And as far as this is purely speculation, but I believe that vessel was destroyed. And that's where people found the monolith and the sarcophagus material.
Most of everyone else's hallucinations seem to have been from something we've been reading or watching, or have you been reading about her? She'll point to the little girl.
I am not familiar with her species. However, I have always been interested in archaeotechnology. And because of that, my encounter on the level is something that I've continued to research. My brain was rewired by my encounter with that monolith.
It strikes me that her is unique amongst hallucinations.
And that's why I was going to follow her to meet her relatives. It might garner us some additional information.
Okay. That seems... I don't want to say reasonable course of action, but it does seem like an action, yes.
So, with your permission, she and I are going to go visit her relatives because she's my friend.
Alaska, you outrank me. You don't need my permission.
I'm letting you know as chief of security. Your job is to keep everybody safe. So, I believe the benefit of this outweighs the safety consideration.
Okay. Right.
she's ready to go now.
Yes.
You guys
Yes, she
have
is. Okay. Well, you need
I'll be
company?
I think I should do this one alone.
Okay.
Ready to go? Look down at my new friend.
Up, 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 she says,
You want
waving
a
her
lo-
little arms towards you.
And I've got something else. I'll take a lollipop out for her from the doc's supply here in medical.
Not that one. Take the other one to the left.
Okay, take the
That's
other
the
one.
wrong drawer.
Oh, okay. Take the one out of the correct drawer. Hand it to the girl. And I'm thought bubble medicated lollipops. Makes sense. Okay.
Also, I do not encourage. I would not recommend encouraging the girl. I don't think it's worth playing into this, but I'm not going to stop you.
I'll be careful, Doc. I know I'm playing with fire here.
Worse, you're playing with a child.
Make sure you take a comms device.
Do I have one with me?
Everybody's got a communicator, I imagine.
Yeah, I figure it's always in her pocket. Okay, look down at my friend, take the wrapping off of the lollipop and give it to her, and show me the way. Tell me whether you like that.
I don't taste it at all.
Oh, okay. Well, let's
But
go
I like
see.
it.
That's good. So go ahead and lead on.
Yep, she'll point you in the direction and lead you out of the
Okay.
sickbay. Shira, are you sticking around sickbay? The captain has called everyone to their stations, and you haven't hallucinated recently.
Yeah. Well, you mean aside from the little girl and the frog in the top hat?
I suppose not.
Is the frog still here?
While you were talking amongst yourselves, actually, when you get another dose of, hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my ragtime gal. As everyone looks in that direction, the frog is just... The frog! How do you not acknowledge this?
Doc, am I good to go on about my duties?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I am going straight to the bridge.
Yep.
And trying to leave the,
you definitely are.
Yeah. Shira, as you're leaving, I'd just like to imagine that if you don't mind me brainjacking Nurse Marple for a moment.
Go ahead.
She just goes over and is like, okay, Mr. Crichton, it's the frog! Yes, it's the frog. Now it's time to take a little nap, and administering a sedative. No, but it's the frog.
You know, I was actually going to suggest she do that. So
Yep.
I was also... The moment he picked up the frog, I was tempted to give him a sedative.
Yep.
Knock him out!
But yeah, you leave sickbay, and the moment that you cross into the hallway, you are on your own. And as you are moving through...
Yeah, Dr. Lambeth is just like, oh, finally, both the children have shut up.
The sounds of a comm line blare out, and you hear over the voice, "All hands, this is the commander. To your general quarters." The unmistakable voice of not your longest-serving commanding officer, but your last one before the ship, or that is, before you came aboard the Aegis. Commander Shran is calling you to battle stations. And we're going to cut that scene there for a moment. Let's see. So, suppose we have either advance the other task, check in with the captain, or let's see, rather advance the lab, check in with the task, or stick with Romanov here. Does anybody have a particular feeling, or would anyone prefer to go a specific direction?
I'm flexible.
I'm also flexible, whichever.
Well, science team, you guys want to keep going on your task here?
Sure.
Yeah,
I
why
mean,
not?
nothing else exciting is happening on the ship.
Though, actually, speaking of science team, she would like to talk to the science team because I imagine once she's made sure everybody's on their at their stations, she wants to know what the hell's going on with them.
Fair enough, fair enough. Yep, so from the bridge captain, we'll temporarily move things. Oh, we'll go.
How many crazy reports or otherwise has been going on
Oh
for
yeah,
the last hour?
let's move this to the bridge then, and another another person with the blue stripes on their uniform has taken Crichton's place. Oh, minor issues reported with damage control. The mariachi band has made its way through deck 4 again. It sounds like oh dear. The makers are escorting a couple of the crew members around. Oh wait. Oh no, it seems like Sergeant Hawkins has also come down with a he seems to have come down with a nasty. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry, Captain. I'm trying to sort out a lot here.
Are the harem girls or at least out of deck 3?
I believe so now, sir.
Thank God. All right. Just like rubbing the bridge of her nose a little bit.
Connolly just looks back and says, "Oh, Captain, what do you think's going on?"
It could be a number of things, but thankfully, the current moment just seems more irritating than dangerous. And let's think of it as such. Yes, she says, looking at the crew. This is no more than just an annoyance and very flashy, but with no substance.
Okay, good. That was man. It's a good thing
Connolly, she like gives him a form look. Happy thoughts.
Happy thoughts. Movie night. Movie night was great.
Everything is awesome.
Space Commander and the Frontier tomorrow was real great. I really loved the capsule, men. I heard you guys almost got a replica of one of those.
We did, almost. I think Romanov was considering it at one point.
As you say that, there's a momentary flitting of the lights in the bridge, and this time of the consoles as well, just for an instant. That's not good.
She just takes in a slow breath and looks over to the science station.
Stewart is there at the moment, and she looks back to you. It's like, don't look at me, Captain. I didn't do anything. I'm trying to sort out the internal sensors, which have been all sorts of janky all this morning.
Great.
We do seem to have had a temporary power disruption or drop off of some sort. I don't know. I'd have guessed something was drawing power for a moment or something of the sort, but aside from the we're now that we're up to condition, I'll see if I can figure that out. She'll walk across the room to the more like engineering / damage control station. Most of this is fairly standard power usage for when we're at condition red, but now it seems, let's see, got a few other bits of equipment active, some of the labs are in use, seems to be extra power drawn from the warp nacelles from the warp nacelles for some reason. Engineering lab is showing higher than usual outputs. Phase cannon's fully charged.
Engineering lab.
Yes, Captain.
Which engineering lab? She said, take a slow, close her eyes, take a slow breath.
I think there's only the one, sir. Down in the
Right.
star drive section, deck 13. Or was it
She, from her chair, just flicks on the communication. Captain to engineering lab.
I get the mental image of both of us just like we're working hard, and then suddenly we hear it, and we just look up at each other.
Well, Soral is like elbow deep in alien technology, I imagine.
Yep.
Can you take that with help?
Yeah, Soral's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I walk over to the wall console and click it on. Engineering lab. Commander Patel.
Patel. Perhaps you'd give me a bit of a report.
Oh yes, Captain. We've been chasing some very, very promising leads on what we think is the source of our problems.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently at 6 out of 15 on our challenge scale here, with a work track of 1 of 3. I'm gonna abstract that away as me techno babbling something at you.
First one moment. Cranky Pants, thank you for the posture check. I needed that. Oh, synonymous with stretching, practically. But yes, Patel is momentarily infected by meta-speak.
Dear God.
And certainly you gave to me the intentions of this research, yes, Commander?
Oh yeah, we've determined that the Zerillion device is likely what is causing our problems, and
I see. That is good.
we're working to disable it
by attaching it to the ship, it seems.
You almost hear the gulp.
Do I hear? Do I hear this communication?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you hear from the background. Well, you attached it first and then didn't finish the job.
I see Soral is also there with you.
Oh yeah,
Patel, I could use a hand. I think I have what seems like an energy. Ah! Ow! Damn it!
Terrell, you forgot to wear the gloves.
I can't feel anything with them. This is literally how accidents happen in labs. I can't feel anything with the security equipment. Ah! Damn it!
And not even wearing security goggles.
She just sinks her head a little bit and then just gives like a very dangerous smile that probably carries through the communication. And how long? I'm just having a curiosity here, Commander. How long do you think you need for the emitter to be attached to my ship? Exactly. I have time, of course.
Well, I can't give you an estimate just yet. And I look over to Sorrel, and he's, I assume, still working diligently. But
yeah, I assume 2 more task rolls should do it.
Suffice it to say, if we didn't take this course of action, we would have been looking at this problem for about another day. So definitely better than that, Captain.
I'm glad you are thinking on your toes. Though, maybe perhaps, Commander, next time, just a forethought, that you would inform your captain and superior officer just a little bit.
So, Captain, I feel a certain strain in your voice. What's happening on the ship?
Simply that there are a number of apparitions appearing upon the ship, and of random, if not imaginary sorts. And I would like to know what exactly it is, whether it is photonic, psionic, some other being that we're not aware of. And there's a number of things it could be, and I like to have a little more clear cut. And thank you for the go-getting attitude that my science team seem to have. I just would like to be a little more informed. Is that clear, Commander?
Understood, Captain. Sir, ma'am, Colonel. Nervous?
Right.
Ma'am,
I'd
Colonel,
like
Captain,
to be
sir.
informed. I'd like to be informed within the next hour of the progress.
Affirmative.
Click. Before you read it.
Like a mid word, and then off.
Yep. So with that, you very much feel as if you very much feel like like one of your own students when you are grilling them in the midst of examination. It may be slightly messed up here.
It's the karma coming back to me, I think. He says to himself quietly.
Well, now all we can do is show results. Otherwise, we're in trouble. It's just like his head, like halfway in the thing. Also, did she say photonic? And he kind of looks at the glowing orb on top of it. And it's like running calculations in his head that he's still not sure how the whole thing works.
Well, it is glowing with a very bright light at this point.
Well, let's see if he can make any progress.
Yep.
He says as he readies another roll.
Yep. Give me another engineering and believe it was reason and engineering that we did last time. Or
Yeah, reason or insight, but my reason is better. Is it still 3 the difficulty?
The difficulty is still let's see.
Or did
Actually,
we get it
with the
one
breakthroughs,
down?
I think yes, that does reduce it to 2. And you are still assisted by both Patel and the ship.
Cool. Does it help that we have like a lead that it might be like a photonic applications of holograms?
I will tell you what, in this situation, since that has kind of triggered some thinking here, I will preemptively allow you the scrutinize scrutinize 1 effect to your extended task resistance. When you roll the challenge, or not, yeah, the challenge dice for the extended task, the scrutinize will allow you to ignore resistance for each effect that is rolled.
Cool. So we have difficulty 2 now.
Yep.
I would like to buy a die. I would like to see this definitely succeed. Maybe Thrall is sweating a bit, maybe not. You'll never know. Oof.
1 success from Mr. Saral. But Patel and the ship's computers managed to pick it up, so that's 2 momentum back, and yeah, you succeed. Saral, go ahead and roll challenge dice.
I will document this exact roll to tell the captain why plugging it into ship was the correct choice.
All right, with 3 effects, you will ignore all the resistance and put another 6 work on the track.
That brings us to
12, and that is enough to score 2 out of the 3 breakthroughs.
15.
Yep. Now I will say,
could we theoretically, if we spend 3 momentum, we could punch through the whole thing, right?
You could, though the GM would probably spend his remaining threat to punctuate the scene before you had the opportunity. Which
fair.
You could force me to do so now, but I would like to, at least before a decision comes to that, I would like you to learn what you can from this roll.
Okay.
In particular, the more that you manage to tease out, you've come to understand that all of these all the information you're picking up seems to represent like you've pieced together that the information seems to represent data from everything from like atmospheric conditions to biological information, like simulating objects, processes, and all manner of other things. What you understand is that this device is capable of taking information, synthesizing it, and allowing it to become, or like to sort of take shape, basically. Or rather, that is to say, it appears to be drawing on information from somewhere and helping to and like generating basically the equations that allow this emitter, which if the it, like the word with the word photonic, or the idea of this being photonic in nature, the idea that somehow this emitter is creating projections of light and some sort of energy field to make sure that it is contained in such a way that it creates, for lack of a better term, some sort of holographically generated illusions that appear extremely real to the individuals, then it would seem for whatever reason that yeah, this device has picked some members of the crew and basically started generating ideas, or well, like generating things that like around them. So you have 2 points of momentum that you drew from that. And with that second breakthrough, you do have the opportunity to ask questions.
Is there anything we can do to tweak what's happening before we complete the track to shut it off?
I think that while you are at a firmer set of understanding of why this is happening, I think that before you get to that point, you would need to figure out there's still a missing part of this equation, and you don't fully understand why. That is why it is generating around some parts of the ship and versus others. What it like the how and why the device appears to be synthesizing the basically the characters and objects that surround some parts of the crew and not others. There's something that you are missing in terms of understanding function here.
Fair.
So I'll
Questions. Questions. Patel, do you have any questions?
Hmm. Okay, so we have a rough idea of basically what it's doing. You said so we can see that it's like drawing its information from somewhere, like its source of generating these, like, you know, these apparitions or whatever. Does it tell me where specifically? Like, the direction that I'm going with this is, does it tell me which crew members it's drawing inspiration from? Like, can I pinpoint that?
I will say that you can begin to overlay that with a bit of energy here, or rather, a bit of the sensor scan. So you start looking for the you start looking through the what is it? What am I thinking? You start consulting the oh, I'm so sorry, I'm blanking here. You start running through the internal sensors, attempting to discern the exact nature of what is, or like trying to spot out some sort of relationship. You see actually that some of these parameters do seem to have already been programmed in for lack of a for lack of a better phrasing. Somebody is looking to trace basically signs of somebody is trying to look for signs essentially of what like where these signatures might be like centering, and it does appear that there are maybe a dozen or so crew members who are showing some signs of the effects of the they're showing some signs of, for lack of better phrasing, some signs that they've been affected by this. Let's see. Sorry, it's having minor computer issues here at the moment, so that's just slowing things down as I'm attempting to transition us a little bit. There we go. There we go. Everything's working well. Sorry, part of the issue with investigating this is that trying to do so from the confines of a laptop is a little bit hard for you, Patel. But you certainly manage as a nice bit of fresh air brushes over you, looking about, and you find the relatively cold climes of your old university. You find yourself back in Heidelberg.
Oh, beautiful.
Let's just get that a little smaller. And there we go.
The old stomping grounds. Yep.
Yes.
Patel is very he like taps his pockets and hopes that he has a hand scanner with him.
Giving yourself a look over, you have a few bits of equipment. You find your communicator, you find the hand scanner. There are a few other bits and bobs here. You have your leather-bound booklet in its usual satchel. Maybe a few other bits of hand notes that you'd written. You actually realize that you must have put on the jumpsuit from yesterday by mistake, because you have even a few things from the previous day, a few other hand notes, the nice little friendship bead Narth gave you because he's just such a little sweet guy. And in particular, it seems a pad you had neglected to discard. Thankfully, these jumpsuit pockets are quite versatile. As you were looking over yourself, you notice a more senior member of the faculty coming up, who seems to be moving towards you with a purpose.
I trust I recognize this person.
You do. And he recognizes you. Kieran, I'm sorry, may I have a moment?
He's very... Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Of course, Dean, insert name, blanking on creativity.
Yeah, we all are. If the chat wants to try and throw in something relatively appropriate, go right ahead. Otherwise, this is just going to be stock old man voice. Voice played by, that is to say, from Dean Oldman.
Perfect.
So Dean Oldman walks up to you and says, I'm sorry, I just reviewed your request here. You're putting in for the UESPA reserves? What?
Patel's very weirded out by the situation because a minute ago he was in an engineering bay,
Yep.
but he'll play along cautiously and reluctantly. And tries to remember back to what he was saying during this conversation in real life.
Oh, I really to interject real quick. Pixie Mule Donkey from Twitch chat, hello there, has given us a good name.
Let's not go with that name.
Well, let's go with the name that they gave us instead, Hadrich. How does that sound?
Okay.
Also, I will take the hydrate spend from our good captain here. I need a drink. Sharp does too, probably.
Yes, several.
Yep. So, look, I understand if you need to take a sabbatical, but actually going out into the space service,
Uh,
isn't Earth geology enough?
oh, you should know by now, Professor, that it's never enough. How many doctorates have you overseen me pursue? Just because I'm curious.
Too many. I, I mean, not to knock the pursuit of knowledge, but a man that pursues multiple degrees at this level has, well, frankly, a commitment to doing themselves great pain. I should know. I went for two myself.
And weren't you ever tempted to go beyond the confines of Earth, especially since this has been possible throughout both of our lifetimes? Go out there, and he looks up to the sky.
Heydrich, he comes and sits down sits down next to you at the bench. Oh, I can't say there isn't a draw. Yes, I don't know. Out there are conceivable some great wonders and new discoveries waiting, but this whole Zindi incident hasn't taught us everything. There are dangers out there too.
Yes, but for every Zindi, there are countless other new forms of life and new civilizations. And frankly, Professor, I'm not content about reading about them in a book.
You have all the exuberance of one of our first-year graduate students. I just hope they don't have you doing so much busy work in that first semester. Or whatever the equivalent is for them.
I think the term is tour of duty.
Oh boy. Oh, I wish you luck on that end.
And of course, I'll stay in touch, Professor. I get the feeling you might also be interested in learning a little bit more about what's out there, even if it's just from a book.
Proposing I live vicariously through you, then. I'll hold you to that. And so will the audience here on twitch.com or youtube.com, depending on which site you're. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I came down with a case of metaspeak the other day.
It seems to be going around.
Yes, yes. Well, best of luck, Kieran.
And thank you, Professor.
The thank you, Professor Saral, is the last thing that you the first thing, Saral, that you hear as you've noticed some silence for the past few minutes.
Yeah, I was about to ask, what is happening in the room? But Soral is just observing, apparently. Is he just staring into space, or?
That would depend. Did Saral bother to go back and take notice, or has he just stayed focused on the device?
I guess he is like partly muttering to himself and also like having like some sort of professional dialogue. And when he notices that there's like no response, he's probably gonna take notice.
Yep.
Of whatever's happening.
There, behind you seems to be a. I'm going to say that just because I think it's funny, Patel has just been standing in whatever self-contained space there was, and before you could observe the phenomena, he just says, "Thank you, Professor," in your direction.
Well, I didn't know you knew I was a professor, Patel, but don't usually use the title anymore.
Patel is he realizes he's back now and says, "Oh, I didn't know about that you, Saral. We have something in common, it seems."
Why did you call me then?
Because I was just not here. I was just in Germany. This is all very strange. And he looks down. So I imagine, since you said I was like searching through my pockets, I imagine I'm still holding those beads that were in my pocket.
You do indeed have a couple of beads left over from North.
Yeah, I
And
look down at my hand. And
So-
look at the beads.
And as you do exactly that, we head out. We head back out to. I think we're going to visit in with Romanov for now. Who is back out in the ship corridors, following the little girl, who has now decided she is perfectly fine to walk herself and doesn't need any help. She's grown up enough to do that.
She's growing up fast.
Yeah.
For a photonic life form.
I'm looking forward to this. Last time I got to see them, I got to tell them all about the last week and all the things that happened. We got to have a special treat last week. They pulled something out of the storage that was really sweet.
Great. Did you tell them about me?
I didn't mention you. You can tell them yourself.
Sounds good.
Yep, and making your way down the corridor, it seems as though you're walking through the same track for a good stretch of time until here we are.
Does this look familiar?
It absolutely does. You want to come and see them? Romanov, give me a fitness and command roll, please.
Okay.
And I think that with its mere presence, I'm going to bump this up to a difficulty 4 here. Bad memories.
Yeah, this thing messed me up for a long time. Fitness, and what was the other one?
Command.
Command. Okay. And I've already spent my determination, so
There is 3 momentum. Or rather,
What?
there's 4 momentum, but you can spend 3 to get yourself some bonus dice. You can also give the GM threat if you prefer.
Okay, question. So this is fitness and command, right? And the difficulty again is
4.
4. Holy crap! I already spent my determination.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll buy 2 if there's no objection, guys.
Sure.
Okay. Whew. I'd like to apply Vulcan martial arts to that as a focus, meaning I'm using my mental disciplining and training.
I believe that would be a component of Sussmon, so go right ahead.
Even though Saral hates anything Vulcan. So, okay, here goes nothing.
4
And-
successes there.
Woo!
Well done.
Okay, that was tight. She
Yep.
concentrates on on running herself through a mental kata of brain fortressing. Okay, and okay, so I look back at the girl. They're in the monolith?
That's where they all go. That's where I'll go, and that's where they go, and that's where all of us are.
I was there once before. It really messed my mind up for a long time. I almost didn't survive.
You were there too?
Yes, I encountered this monolith in the past.
So you met them all then?
I have no memory of it, but I was changed by it. I'm gonna call up to medical real quick. I need to let my friends know I'm here and what I'm looking at.
Your
Okay?
friends already know that you're here. We're all here.
Right.
You are surrounded.
I am surrounded by who?
More of the entities that you recognized from earlier. These all in an unusual sort of mask-like configuration of a sort, standing at roughly your height, though some more variable than others.
I will look at them and say, they're here now. Look at my friend.
The lights
And
the lights begin flitting around you as a murmur takes up amongst the group. The hallway from what you can see past the monolith to everything behind you is positively filled with them. So they begin to shuffle in a pattern around you.
okay, I'm going to keep my concentration on that mental kata so I'm grounded as much as I can, because I know I got overwhelmed by this last time. So I will say, could you bring forth your spokesperson or leader?
Well, we're all right there. Snow, you can be with all of us.
Yes. I will see if any of the others seem to be able to communicate verbally the way that she does. Or I'll see if one jumps out at me as I pass my perceptions over them. I know this is like almost a reactive process.
None of them seem to give you much indication as you speak around to them. They appear to be all looking towards each other or averting their eyes from you and from the small one.
And from the small one.
Yep.
I will tell them, you are currently on board our ship. Your technology is affecting things. I believe you are reaching out to communicate. I'll see if they give me any reaction.
Give me an insight and command, and since you have stayed grounded, this will be difficulty too.
Okay, insight, command. And we only have one momentum left, so somebody else might need that. Unless you guys want me to spend it on it. I've got 9 and 3, guys.
I say go for it.
You go
Okay.
for it.
For it.
And do I still have my focus from,
Sussmon?
Yeah.
I'll grant you that.
Okay, thank you. You're a generous GM. Okay, here it goes. Okay.
All right, that will. Ooh, yeah, that gives you 2 successes, or rather 4 successes, but that is 2 over what you needed. So you managed to. You actually managed to gain back 2 momentum for the pool.
Okay.
And you can just make out from amongst them the sound, a few sounds. We failed. We failed. They came. We failed. Ship. We failed. Ship gone. We failed. They came. They failed. And the ship. We came. We failed them all. Just kind of in a repeating pattern.
Do I get a feeling that maybe the monolith was something that stored their consciousness in the same way that Katras are stored by Vulcans?
I mean, it'd be a stretch to go so far as to say all of that, but if that's your personal inclination, then I won't stop you from saying that aloud.
It's a thought that crosses her mind, certainly.
Also, we don't know if Katras are a real thing. They are a myth, aren't they?
I don't think humans know about them at all yet, do we?
That's true.
Well, no, she was trained. She was trained by Vulcans, so I'm just like,
but
they're a myth.
Vulcan too. So I suspect he ain't a edge runner for nothing. But either way, she looks at them and goes, "We may be in the same position. Can you tell us how not to fail?"
I'm going to ask for a daring and command here, and I am spending a point of threat to increase your complication range by 2, or rather up to 2.
Okay, so daring and command, and I'd like to spend 1 momentum on this. Here we go. What's my target number?
Target number on this, I will say, is also 2.
Okay. Here we go.
That is 2 successes, but that is a complication there. Would you prefer to take the narrative complication or give the GM threat?
Well, God, that's a group call, guys. Hand him some more threat.
I feel like... Come on, Brian.
I feel like narrative.
Let's do it. Narrative. Okay, narrative.
They all stop their murmuring and they turn to you. They came! They came! We thought it was safe, but they came! You need to run! They came! They attacked! We're under attack! And the ship begins to rattle and suddenly shake as though struck.
Okay, I'm going to punch a call up to the bridge. We may have an exterior threat connected to this. This device may be summoning a possible threat, ma'am.
Also, sorry, Patel, didn't mean to decloak you there. But yeah, you are having trouble reaching through as these screams echo through, even reaching the base. But you don't need to let them know because everyone is feeling the ship shake.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, back up on the... let's see, let us cut back up to the bridge for a moment, where the comms officer who's presently taken Creighton's place is calling out, "All hands man your action stations!" The tactical officer's like, I can't believe it, I'm losing them for a moment. Sorry, I can't see what hit us, Captain.
It's alright, just send damage teams where you can, and make sure everyone is ready.
Yes, sir. And the comms officer will start directing, calling out to the unaffected damage control teams, or those who haven't started noticing things. Conley's like, I can at least start evading, or trying to evade if you like, Captain.
Please do start to maneuver Alpha.
Aye, sir. Connolly will begin firing up thrusters intermittently.
Slow and steady. Let's make sure we're not compromising anything else that we're having to deal with.
Okay. Another energy burst incoming. the ship like rattles again. And let's see. I'll go ahead and just for the sake of it, let's roll this one here. Okay. Oop. Oh no, nothing transferred over from that. Well, that's most dreadful. That's one more thing to fix later. Oh, wait, here it is. So let's see. Oh dear, that's not right at all. That should actually be... There we go. Something, the steward calls out. It looks like we were hit by something registering as an energy blast of some sort, like basic particle weaponry. We've lost some minor damage to hull plating.
Integrity of hull plating. She's just looking over to the weapons.
Okay.
How bad was it?
We actually, this is odd. With a blast of that strength, I would have expected actually something to have caused a hull breach, but it's suggesting that we only took 2 points of hull plating, so we're still maintaining. That did knock down 20% of our hull, or the polarization.
All right, time to kick up a notch. Do a delta maneuver, Connolly, and go full impulse.
Copy that, sir. Then Steward reports. Captain, new target coming in. Oh, jeez. They're under 1,000 meters away from us.
Weapons, widespread phase cannons. Let's try to shake them off.
Okay. Colonel, just because we're playing this combat a little fast and loose here, I'm going to let you roll control security to represent the you're giving the order to attack here.
Yep. I'm basically trying to glance off them. Just basically a deterrence than anything else.
Copy that.
Wow, only one.
Well, the phasers do lash out, and they do actually make contact with the ship that for a moment flits by, as the cannons make an impact here. It's only a moment, but that profile is unmistakable to you.
Which is?
Kala looks at it like, sir, did you just see what I saw?
She squints. Crap. All right.
Didn't think
Conley, make a warp skip now.
Sir, warp engines are not engaging. There's a bit of a power fall off here. And there's one more shake as as what seems to be a torpedo from a Vulcan vessel collides into the
evasive.
Aegis.
Yep.
And Conley will pull it up. Nonetheless, there will be a terrible rattle, and there's a similar one in the Andorian turbolift as Shira, you finally make your way towards what you believe to be the bridge of the Kamari. But it is alas too late by the time you have made it here.
She's going to be quite horrified by what she's seen.
Yep. Cast about the ship are dozens of dead and injured cast about the room. Indeed, plenty you know from the ship's complement. Lieutenant Tallis, Commander Shran, Tarm. But you see others amongst the fray here. It is not long at all for you to take note that as well that your previous captain, let's see, sorry, the history document disappeared from me on it for a moment there. It is not long at all for you to notice that Commander Thorlov is also amongst those down. That soon you recognize other faces, younger, who never saw the service. Agotic, Gertal, Beeg, and even those of your own parents.
She's gonna kind of she's backing away in absolute horror.
Oh.
It's not real. 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 It's not real.
Give me a control and command roll, please.
Control and command. Not bad, actually.
By virtue of that being one of your more difficult rolls, Shira, I'm going to say that you see the turbolift behind you is not properly the Andorian one you came up in, but in fact an Earth Starfleet one. You could conceivably leave this scene if you so wished. But should you choose to make your way there, though, you hear a voice call out from one of them, specifically Tarm. Shira,
Tarm. She has to go over to him.
Your timing is lousy.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's.
He's struggling to keep his antennae up at this point.
I'll work on that.
Why aren't you here?
Don't know.
I don't blame you. Whatever happens, I don't blame you.
Perhaps you should.
He'll grasp it. He'll reach out trying to grasp for your hand.
She'll take his hand.
Do what you can. Do what's right by us. Save who you can.
I will. I will.
The light fades from your old friend's eyes and his grip slackens.
I'm gonna run for the door.
Alright.
I guess it's a button you push in.
Yep.
I push the button and just shout bridge.
Alright. The turbolift will take you away from that dreadful place. And in mere moments later, you find yourself on the bridge. Does Shira come through with a storm, or have you taken the moment to compose yourself?
She looks completely on edge at the minute, like she's standing on an edge of a precipice.
The captain's already trying to freaking knife fight a freaking cruiser.
Just tell me, Is that Vulcan cruiser on screen?
I imagine so.
Yep. It'll do like after apparently they lose track of it again for a moment. One of the steward calls out again. Ah, picking it up again. Dorsal pass 400 meters. And
There is a complete shift in Shira's demeanor, which goes from mild terror to absolute fury, and she's going to go over to her
tactical.
her position, tactical.
Yep. The other officer will move up, not quite fast enough, I imagine, for the speed you're coming over to relieve him. So maybe they get bounded slightly back from the chair, but they still stand to attention before moving.
Lieutenant,
A little Vulcan problem are we having?
either you or someone else brought along with their imagination.
Well, I don't know when my imagination's going to help me, but there's a target.
Lieutenant, look at me.
Is Shira looking at her or taking the shot?
She's taking the shot.
Alright, control security, difficulty 2.
Control security, difficulty 2. She's I'm gonna give you a point of threat to get an extra dice.
Okay.
3. I've got shipboard tactical systems for an extra focus.
Right, I will roll the ship to assist you.
You know what? It's almost the end of the session, so I'm going to burn a value, proud daughter of Andoria, to get 2 extra successes.
Auto crit it is.
Nice.
Well, that's still 5 successes on the board in total with the auto crit and your personal successes. So that will not only succeed, that will net you 3 momentum as you unleash just a devastating barrage, overclocking the phase cannons and carving through their shields and into the warp ring. Let's actually, just for kicks and giggles, let's see how that does. Yeah. That'd technically give you 2 more momentum. So if you want to rule that there's a that you pierce through or do a perform like a devastating attack of sorts, then that'd be.
Oh yeah, one of those sounds pretty good.
Okay. We're playing this combat, admittedly, very fast and loose here. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm just going to say first. I'll just give you the 2.
She wants to cause as much damage as Andorianly possible.
Very well.
Right now.
So yeah, let's see. I'll just take the momentum from the damage roll itself, and I'll just roll this a couple times. You just see as and I'll say this strains somewhat your understanding of like how this fight would actually go, Colonel. But you see Shira just expending significant power from the phase cannons and like cutting all through the superstructure, through the warp ring, even hitting like an aft torpedo bay, and plasma, atmosphere, everything coming out from it. You're pretty sure that against the grain you could even see the flits of bits of hull plating and even perhaps Vulcans themselves coming out before the ship it like moves at nearly the 1,000-kilometer distance and just flits out. But yeah, Shira is intent.
Yeah.
Reporting for duty, sir.
I can see that. As much as I appreciate the motivation, can you keep yourself in check? Like the Andorian guard I expect?
I'll fire when fire upon, sir.
Cheers, nods. By the moment, let's try something, Lieutenant. You know how cowardly the Vulcans are. At such damage, they would run away, wouldn't they?
That would be the most logical choice. She almost spits the word logic.
You feel that, even. You know it. Yes?
Yes. But a hit like that, they'd retreat.
She nods. And everyone else on this bridge knows it. Correct? She looks to the rest of the bridge.
Everyone nods.
All right. She just rubs her forehead. Get damage crews working. Get estimate of casualties if there's any actual casualties. Be as upfront and direct to any crew members until we figure out who exactly is affected by whatever the heck's going on. I'm gonna be in my ready room.
Okay.
Shira, you have the con.
I have the con.
And Captain, as you manage to, by force of will, exact some semblance of peace on the ship here, you leave the con. Shira momentarily, it seems, left in a calm state, and you walk towards the door to your ready room. Punch the button in order to allow yourself through. And the moment that you step through the threshold, you find yourself in a very different but nonetheless familiar place. And standing next to a seat, the lights low and dim. Oh, there you are, says a man coming down to join you as you find that you are actually now seated. You're not sure when you sat down, but he comes to join you. Started a bit early, did we? And very quickly, before anything else happens, we can resume the scene. There is very little left to go, but we could conceivably stretch out the final bits over into next session and maybe have a bit of time to decompress. So my question is, would you guys want to continue this and possibly go just a little bit later than usual, or would you rather hold it off until next week?
I'm happy to go on a little bit longer.
Yeah, me too.
Sure.
Yeah, I could go a little longer.
You good with?
I can keep going.
All right, then I'll remember to edit this out later. But yeah, chat, we're going just a little bit longer here. So, Sharp, yeah, it's back to you.
I look around, blinking for a few moments. I imagine I feel a glass in my hand.
You do. The smell of something very strong in the air.
Don't worry, it's just my just got it started. She says, small whimsical smile.
Yeah, likely story there. Come on. At the very least, if you... Oh, jeez, you broke open one of the good ones. We're going to save this until we could get the gang together again.
I'm sure there's a few more, and we can always, well, you and I have a few connections.
Yes, I just, It's hard enough. Hard enough lately as it is with all the action, but make the best work. Now, are you gonna pour me a glass, or are we going to, or am I going to have to get down and beg?
I think your wife would enjoy seeing you beg once in a while, she says.
Oh,
But
stuff it.
sure. But she just starts pouring. She swirls the drink in her glass, watching the ice. You're not real, are you?
Well, I'd like to think I am, but I don't know. Are you? You haven't been dealing with any space-time hijinks I should know about, have you?
She just stares at the drink and then takes a long take.
All right, ease it up there. That's entirely too much. But I'm going to take that as a yes.
So, am I still there? Or I'm here? Given the fact that everything's going on with everybody else, I imagine this is...
Oh, you know me. I'm just taking one of those precious few moments we have to relax here before we all go back to that grind. But I thought at the very least that, well, I knew that you'd be doing the same, and clearly overindulging in the process, he says, gesturing to what are a few...
I have a good replacement for you. I mean, better, even, she says with a smile. Full-on teetotaler. Little, actually manageably to keep his mouth shut, as opposed to you who just can't. You don't even need to drink, she says with a smile.
Ha ha ha, yes, joke about that, why don't you? Just because I don't need it doesn't mean that, well, if anything, it tells me that I know better when you need to stop and when you need to overdo it. And right now in this moment, gesturing in your general direction, over half a dozen glasses, anyone could tell that you are dealing with a lot. And I'm sorry I'm not here to help you with it.
Outside of one other person, she just nods, kind of sets the glass down. Can't think of a better person.
Well, you make do with what you have. Your compatriots, your crew around you. I know our positions, they don't allow us to open up too much, but sooner or later I suspect you're going to need to share more of that, and you're going to need to let yourself open up more to them.
You probably don't even exist anymore.
Hey, don't stress yourself right now.
I'm over my head.
Well, when is that not the job description of a Starfleet officer?
You're the one that wanted to be.
Yeah, well, we're all here, and we're all out amongst the unknown, and dealing with the threats that come with it sometimes. Whatever challenge you've got, I know that you've got this in hand. Or, well, you are equal to the challenge, and such where you fall short, whoever's around you right now, they've got your back here. do best to remember that.
I do. She nods, takes the drink almost impulsively, and takes a sip of it. How long are you going to be here?
Oh, I can give you a minute. Let it maybe let a little more of this play out, and or play out for the others, and maybe just maybe that crew of yours might surprise you a little.
I certainly have already.
Take a moment to rest,
Nice.
but don't. He actually takes the bottle from you. But I think I'm cutting you off at that glass, he says, taking a big swig for like turning the bottle upside down.
She just snorts. Nice having you around, Tim.
And you. I'll just give you a thumbs up with another overturning of the bottle.
Even if you are a bastard. She just gets up. Where are the other ones?
I don't think they're showing up this time.
Uh-huh. She
Task.
starts just shuffling.
Yep. As you start walking off, let's go down to sickbay where, whilst Creighton is sedated, you are finding yourself with a very different problem now, Doctor, as we cut back to you. The return of Sudok. So, Doctor, I understand you're making some progress to determining the logic behind the present situation.
Well, I've got some of it. Your photonic projections. I can figure out that much.
And others are experiencing this as well, so this is not a phenomenon unique to you.
No, it's not. Managed to rule out hallucinogens pretty quickly.
Indeed. The application of photonic technology would suggest that there is another factor at play here. So then, do you understand the question that you must ask?
Maybe. The way I figure it, the question is, I guess, why is this happening and who's responsible? That's the important thing to me, I guess. Is that the right question to be asking?
It is simplistic, but logical. Although it does
Yeah,
embrace the
well, that's
human...
my style, really.
Yes, it certainly embraces your very human predilection to assign malice to acts which may have none at all. The better question, perhaps, is what is the common denominator between you and the other members of your crew that have been exposed, or that have that are showing signs of these manifestations? Though I
Oh,
suppose
you see, that's what I can't figure out, because we all seem to be... I haven't been able to find any common connection.
certainly not within the biological realm. That much is certain. Oh, regrettably, you are probably the least suited to answer this question in some ways.
Oh, gee, thanks.
More logically, I would engage with someone with more technological proficiency. However, it seems by virtue of these circumstances, I am bound to you, who nonetheless did provide some important pieces of information. Tell me, what else can you use to search beyond your medical equipment?
My brain and my eyes.
Is there anything that you have recently come across in the past day or so?
Is
Anything
that
that...
the answer you're looking for?
It is a fair enough point, but it is the precursor to the question that you should be asking, which is what changes, perhaps driven from an exterior have you, an externality, have you embraced or have you come into contact with?
What? I'll think about. Dr. Lambeth, thinking about that. What has he come across recently from an outside source?
Well, I
Maybe we could
suppose give me a reason and insight
check for that.
roll, and
Or is it just the thing that got brought on board?
there were things that were brought on board. That would be the most significant thing, I suppose, besides Alonso's cooking.
But have I had direct contact with any of that? Or
Well,
just
about the only things you probably had direct contact with were any things you interacted with on the Ethanite ship, or a little just beforehand. You do recall that Narth had given you a gift.
ah?
Had you touched any other devices back on board the ship? Or the Ethanite freighter?
I think so. I can't remember what though.
Perhaps you should troubleshoot amongst your crew. Or rather, let me do that in character. Perhaps you should troubleshoot amongst your crew here. Perhaps speaking with the very scientifically oriented people who are sufficiently competent in this regard.
Well, so I've kind of been assuming that pretty much everyone on the ship has been experiencing this. But that's not true, is it? It's confined to a much smaller number of people.
Indeed. As you may recall, although you were busy at the time dealing with the ensign's frog, your Lieutenant Commander Romanov had stated that in fact there were only about a dozen signatures throughout the ship that suggested that level of interaction. Yourself being one of them, and indeed Shira and Romanov also being one of them, or among them.
And Crichton and the couple here.
Yes. Perhaps you should investigate some of them as well, see if there are any common factors. Some externality.
So how big was the away team?
Well, the away team only consisted of about I want to say a half dozen of you. It was yourself,
Okay.
Patel,
Yeah.
Colonel Sharp, Lieutenant Shira, then maybe a few of the engineering type figures, or like the quartermasters. There were other people that were about sort of collecting or moving some gear from the other day.
Okay, so I'll. So basically, is everyone who was aboard that so like people who have reported hallucinations but weren't aboard the ship are like Chief Justice and Crichton.
Yep.
And presumably a couple of others. So actually Crichton's probably out at the moment. So it's
The
not just yet.
frog.
Is the frog still next to him?
The frog is gone.
Okay. You
Allow me to vanish the frog.
actually, did it
Yay.
disappear when he went unconscious? When he got sedated, or did it like vanish some point after that?
I'll say it vanished sometime afterwards. You didn't really take notice. There's been so much else.
Yeah. To do. Alright, I'll try talking to Chief Justice then and getting something out of him. Oi, Chief. You been in contact with anything strange lately? On the alien ship?
Oh, Doc, there's a lot of people in this room. I think if I want to tell you about this, it's got to be privately.
Fine.
He winks, but he's wearing sunglasses, so you can't tell.
We do have like a private area.
I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, you're going to get like a off the camera explanation of just something terribly not safe for work and graphic.
Yes. Chief Justice
Okay,
is a lonely boy. Let's put it that way.
Right, that was very nice to know. I should probably add that to your psyche eval. But that wasn't the question I was asking. I wanted to know if you'd recently come into contact with any alien stuff from the other ship. I'm not particularly interested in the subject of your hallucinations.
Oh, I don't think so. But actually, wait. He like taps his jumpsuit and reaches in his pocket and pulls out some beads. Yeah, Chief Fernier gave me some of these. Called him a friendship bead or something like that. I think
Chief
these
Fernier
came from
gave
the
it
ship.
to him. Excellent. I should probably collect those for safekeeping and friendship.
I did just share some very personal stuff with you, Doc, so I guess that makes us friends. And he slaps you on the shoulder. And
He like recoils from from the touch. He's like, "Oh, I know where that hand's been." But,
You do know where the hand's been.
yeah.
he hands you the beads.
No.
He said, "Well, it's much appreciated, Chief. I'll be taking those beads, and can I just quickly check Crichton's pockets for beads as well?"
He has a bead as well.
Okay.
Or gemstone might be more accurate. They're in a regular shape.
Alright, do I have one? Oh yes, because I did take one from North,
Yeah.
didn't I? Yeah. And
Marple also brings over one from
the
Chief
extra person who's in this room. Yeah.
Yep. Everybody's giving you beads. It's friggin' Mardi Gras up in here.
Right. Well, Chief and everyone else who had beans and has now given them to me. If you have another hallucination, let me know. Otherwise, you might be cured. I need to inform the captain.
And Cap, would you preemptively like to make this as the doctor reports this, would you like to make this a conference call with the science team, who go ahead and give me one more reason and engineering roll there, Felix? Let's finish out the extended task here.
I am gonna spend a momentum for a third die just to be on the safe side.
Okay. Patel can also assist, and it was difficulty 1, so you beat it.
It's nice, but that Patel is allowed to exist.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yep. To be fair, I think Patel already picked up what was going on.
Ship is assisting too, right?
You can if you want. At this point, it's kind of irrelevant. You've beaten the threshold.
Oh wow!
I'm just going to give. I'm just going to.
Spend momentum to re-roll. Though.
Yeah.
I was about to say.
The one you earned. Go back, re-roll those 5 challenge dice. So yeah, conference call mode active. As you are finishing up the last of your work.
You're muted. Sickbay, you're muted. Your mic is on mute. No, I'm just kidding. Pandemic joke, anyway.
Yep.
Right, so it's the beads. We figured out the problem, it's the beads. It's Narth's friendship beads. It's fucking Narth again.
I love it.
So at the same time, I think Soral is just like up to his shoulders now in the device, and it's like, I think I got it. If I just, and pulls out like one of the crystals, like I imagine like index finger sized or something, and believes that this should shut it off.
It is steadily shutting down at this point, but it's not an all at once sort of thing. the processing system is steadily cascading and disengaging. I'm actually going to rule the complication. You did indeed shut it off in the most elegant way possible without electrocuting yourself, but you have damaged it irreparably.
That's
Or,
probably for the best.
yeah, probably.
Which will not stop Soral from investigating it. That's
Indeed.
all. Just imagine Soral with access to telepathic holotechnology.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
So, why doesn't my two senior officers explain to me what's going on?
I'm whispering also to you here, Patel, but Saral already has that.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured.
Yep. Dress it up with any other sort of thing as you like.
By the way, it's not synth at all, is it, Zach?
Oh, none of that was synth in the synthetic.
slightest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you hear a slight slur at the current moment, Patel.
Is this still the conference call, or is this direct with the captain now?
Conference
It's
call mode, yes.
Conference call.
Yeah, Captain. Based on what Dr. Lambeth is saying, we can confirm it looks like these friendship beads that North gave us. They're acting as like some kind of psychic amplifier or something, and manifesting reality based on what their owners are thinking. Mr. Soral has just deactivated the device, but it might take a few moments for it to finally take effect.
Dr.
Nope.
Lambeth will turn like, oh, thanks for the help, mate, to Sodak, was it?
Sudak.
Sudak. If he's still around.
Yep.
I think he'll say thanks even if he's gone.
He's starting to fade out here. It's like, I was but merely embracing simple logic, Doctor. You would do well to do the same in the future. Indeed, may I suggest some meditative techniques to help you control the emotional... And he just fades out as he's getting into that closing rant there. So,
There's a smile. It's like a warm, evolving smile on the captain's face, and she just gives like a knowing look to Tem and just nods her tips her glass in his direction.
he'll tip the bottle and then take another drink with a thumbs up.
So I imagine, given the fact that there's probably still things going on, that there still requires a bit of time for everything to dispel itself.
Well, my one's gone, but don't know about the others yet. The fog vanished a little while ago.
How quickly is it powering down? I assume we're still monitoring like the energy signature.
So it's not so much that the power in the device is going off, so much as it is unable to process things. Increasingly, the programs are shutting down one by one, it seems.
So can we give like an estimate of minutes, hours?
You're talking probably minutes here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The most complicated of them, which seems to have been whatever was shaking the ship and causing damage, appears to be going off. But anyway, so would you guys like to comment any further on what came of that, or would you prefer to reserve that? I should say I have 2 more scenes here in mind, and because we are pushing longer than usual, I figure like if anyone wants to do something, we could probably fit it in quickly, but there's just 2 more things to do. And I will, for my part, make them as quick as possible.
Well, if there's nothing else, gentlemen, I'm going to get a bit of relaxation before next shift. Is there anything else?
Seems like the problem is in hand now, Captain.
Well, when you have a moment, I have the con. Patel. I'll be there in a few hours.
Acknowledged.
And she'll key it off.
Okay. So, just to check, did anybody have other things that they wanted to do before we get into like the final two scenes I have for us here? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and just move us over quickly to the Theater of the Mind. So, Romanov, you find yourself, it seems to be in that same dark compartment once more. Somewhere in a ship of a very different setup, it would seem. The little girl seems to be there as well. Much more gaunt and rocking back and forth. This place is safe. They can't get me here.
Then you should stay here with your ancestors.
It's not with the ancestors. I was in the other room. They don't let me go to the other room right now. Everything's shaking and there's a noticeable rattle to the deck plate where you are. You can hear the sound of voices outside.
I think that you're going to fall asleep soon.
Oh, okay.
And I'm gonna sit down with her and just hold her hand.
You'll stay for a little bit?
Of course, I'll stay here. You're my friend.
Okay, she just says very quietly. As you do that, would you like to continue? Would you like to listen in on those voices a little closer?
Yeah, I would.
Right. One final. We'll call this insight and security roll.
Okay. Hold on. I got knocked out of roll 20.
Sure thing.
Second. Okay. Insight and security again, right?
Correct.
Okay. And we have one momentum left.
This will just be difficulty one if you. Yeah.
Okay. Insight, security, and nothing that I can apply unless I'm still applying my martial arts, the mental discipline.
I'll just give you the focus here.
Okay. So here it goes.
2 successes.
Okay.
As you sit back and settle in with this, with the small one, you hear voices at once panicked and one a bit more determined. Did you see where Renia went? I can't find her anywhere. She's probably in the conduit somewhere. Don't worry about it. We've got bigger problems on this right now. What happened by the elements? What could have? I don't know. Since we passed through that anomaly, something has sent us way off course. I have no idea. I don't know how long this is going to hold together. We'll try to put down for repairs and do as best as we can. How can you even say that? Where can we even go? What are we even going to do? The fleet's gone! We don't know what happened to them. Maybe some of them made it away safe, but look, we do what we can here. We keep who's left safe and sound. You're right. I'll do our best. Something feels wrong with this. I know. Let's just do what we can. And for a moment there, as those voices echo through your head, Romanov, you close your eyes. And when you open them again, you find yourself just sitting down in a corridor as if you had leaned against a wall at some point and slumped down. There's no sign of the small one, of the masked figures, or the monolith anywhere around.
She'll get up and just head to engineering to see if everything's okay. Sort of ground herself in the moment.
Yep. Yeah. And so with that, I think we're going to cut ahead. Would everybody like to have a little scene on the bridge? The scene was going to be on the bridge, but it's more, do we want to have a TOS style ending where everybody shows up there?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So, some time elapses where people are getting a handle on things steadily. Everyone has more or less come back to normal. The unusual manifestations have all disappeared at this point, and you are steadily getting things back to normal. There are undoubtedly experiences that have shaken everyone, but you're steadily coming to terms with it. So, any discussion you want to, like anything you want to mention here in these last moments, by all means, get in just a few lines.
I'm trying to think of any. The captain certainly looks a little more relaxed, but that mix of like relaxed but somber. I have a question.
Yeah.
When it comes to holographic booze, when the thing goes off, am I still drunk, or does that also go away?
It's too late in the session to be asking those types of questions. Knock it off. You've dried out at this point.
Yeah, no, I figured. Yeah, she'll just be on the bridge by this point. Just trying to make sure everything is back in order and make sure everybody is fine.
Shira looks absolutely shattered.
You okay?
By the way, question: how much of Shira's anger is directed at Soral just because he has pointy ears?
She doesn't give Soral any dirty looks.
Doesn't recognize you exist.
Or doesn't recognize you as Vulcan.
It's not
just
like
doesn't
she's
see race.
She doesn't.
I mean, a bit of projection is fine. You know, I wouldn't mind as a player.
She sees Soral as more detached from Vulcans at large. Just
Fair enough.
perhaps don't approach her.
Yes, I wasn't going to say it. Just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. Don't.
As long as you keep your distance, it won't bite you.
Keep your distance. We won't have any problems. She does look completely shattered at this point.
Yeah, understandable.
Quite exhausted from just physically, emotionally.
Well, Romanov's, gonna give your shoulder a squeeze with her hand.
Sure will look up.
It was a wild ride for everybody, I think. And we need to remember that most of this wasn't real. It was drawing on things, our fears, our things that made us excited, things that changed us. And it created those experiences with that. There might be some truth to my experiences, but I still think that the situations were fabricated by this technology.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it any easier to deal with. Over at Colonel Sharp, Skipper, we should have our standing rule, never take gifts from Narth.
I'll certainly make that a ship-wide rule. Indeed.
Yeah.
I also
And-
feel that you kind of encroach upon my territory by just activating a strange alien device without any security measures.
Certainly will try to not step on your toes next time.
Job.
Like a weird smile.
I mean, it's kind of like, I would do that, but I expected better from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think everyone in this crew will agree with me and say we'll make an effort to prevent what I imagine what you saw from happening. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll find a peace.
I'm not sure that's in this crew's power.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether Shira actually shared what happened either.
No, but it seems broken enough. Seems broken enough, and there was a Vulcan cruiser that showed up. There's kind of implications there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so she might share about it later.
Yeah.
But right now she's just processing.
Yeah, which is why I said whatever you saw, we'll make sure that's not going to happen.
Crichton says, "Well, sir, all ship systems and other stations report okay. We are ready to proceed."
Crichton, why do you look around like that?
Do you mean, sir?
Looking underneath your desk.
You're looking for the frog, aren't you, Crichton?
Just force of habit at this point.
Just very slightly under his breath, so I was like, "Hello, my darling. Hello."
Now, Crichton accidentally hits a button, and on the forward, you all look ahead to the forward view screen. Hey, buddy, the Michigan rag. And I think that's just how we cap off tonight's session.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone, for sticking it out. We are going to go ahead and leave you here. I must say, I find imitating a speech impediment distasteful, but that's all, folks.